first of all, you're passionate about Lincoln. How come?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to like Abraham Lincoln, but perhaps my favorite one, well, I really admire his use of the English language. I've always been a fan of English. It's the only one I've got, language-wise. I'm not multilingual. And some of the sentence structure is so extraordinary. Like, you can bridge those sentences across a ravine and drive a truck across them. But perhaps the best part of Lincoln for me is the idea that what he left us as far as his writing and all of that, I don't know what side he's pulling for, in that he doesn't seem to be Democratic or Republican or Whig. He just seems to be for all of us. And in 2012, as we're talking right now, his words speak with as much relevance now as they did when he penned them. I mean, when you read the speeches, and the one I like a lot is the one from 1838, the speech to the Young Men's Lyceum that he spoke. He performed or recited here in Springfield on January 27th as a 28-year-old, about to be 29. And what an extraordinary speaker this guy was, or at least a writer. And you read that stuff, you think to yourself, people in 2012 should read this. This is where we're at, and this is where we need to go. And to think of such an extraordinary time in American history, what a wild tempest of an American chapter Lincoln was handed as a president. I mean, he had a few months of like, I'm the president, pretty cool. And then by April of the next year, kaboom, America fairly explodes in his face. And the country rips itself in half. And his first term is just the most unenviable, disastrous occurrence, the Civil War. And it was his night and day. And you wonder what he could have gotten done for America had that not happened. Like what his presidency wouldn't have been if he didn't have to be a wartime president. Because if you read the speeches before he became president, what his idea of America was, he's really into the Constitution, and he said that we Americans should have this, common intelligence, sound morality, but in particular, a great reverence for the Constitution and for law. He being a lawyer, he knew what he was talking about, but he would have made a really beautiful America for the people of his time, and he did his damnedest to keep America together. And then he died for it. And so it's very poetic, almost Shakespearean. I mean, it'd be a Shakespearean tragedy of a man who was president and who gave a lot and ultimately sacrificed everything for what was to be. And with all of that, it lends itself to myth more than it does to reality. But thankfully, it's a part of history where photographs were taken. So you can see this man. It's not like Washington, where it's a painting. I guess he looked like that, so you say. So says the painter. But thanks to history, it's a war and a time that is documented, and we can look at Lincoln, and it really brings the whole thing into it makes it more vivid. And so all of those things make Lincoln very important to me. And I'm 51, as I get older, and I look at my country differently as a certainly not the most mature man, but definitely a grown man, arcing past middle age rapidly. Lincoln speaks louder and louder to me, or resonates with me more and more. Because like I said before, what he was saying back then is perfectly suitable to have reverence for right now. And and not every single president in their letters and speeches you can't say that of all of them. In that, like some of the Lincoln's depression, Lincoln's dreams. What was he maybe thinking? Like, there's so many books on the guy. Yeah. I think people like to take him as their own and kind of do a lot of projection. Yeah. And I'm curious. When Daniel Day-Lewis is speaking, we saw the trailer the other day. Yeah. Is there any historical documentation as to how he spoke? I mean, I've read his strange gait, but I've never or an accent or a timbre or something.
There is. Ducky Twang.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
never
wow.
lost it.
Huh.
And everyone else you hear in film or TV or, you know, advertising, who does Lincoln as the big booming voice
Yeah.
of authority, is actually imitating Stephen Douglas, who was 5'4"
Yeah.
and had a fantastic baritone voice. He could be heard by 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Wow.
And Lincoln really had to work at it because he had a much more high-pitched voice, and he wasn't a natural speaker, but he memorized well.
So you got to visit some places in this library and nobody else could.
Yeah.
Tell me what's the best thing you saw so far today?
Perhaps the top hat. Lincoln's one of Lincoln's top hats. But the fact that there's two finger abrasions and a bit of thumb print through of, you know, good morning, good afternoon, good day, and that's evident. And that would be his right hand, two fingers, and the thumb. And to figure that out, when our guide said, "What do you think that is?" I said, "I bet it's this." He said, "You're right about it." And I must say that was, if I can use the word, that was real cool. and seeing the Gettysburg Address in his own hand, that's about as big a damn thrill as you can get. And if you're a fan of this stuff, that's one of those, whoa, am I a lucky guy moments. So those were some great parts of today.
So can we expect you back in Springfield soon?
Not soon. In that I my schedule is, a lot of demands have been made upon me. But will I be back and back here unless something unfortunate happens? Absolutely. 1863?
62.
Oh, it's hard for me to see. Oh, I see the film.